Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, May 22nd, 2023 regular school board meeting. Mrs. Cahall, please call the roll.
Mr. Grant.
Present.
Mrs. Hagedorn.
Here.
Mr. Carpenter.
Present.
Mr. Leeds.
Here.
And Mr. Fulham.
Present.
Would everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1.3, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
None.
Thank you. Item 1.4, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Mrs. Cahall, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye.
Mr. Fulham.
Aye.
Mr. Leeds.
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn.
Aye.
And Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Moving on to section 2, discussion and comments from the board. 2.1, legislative. Mr. Leeds.
I got a couple items. First of all, the Senate Finance Committee has been looking at House Bill 33, which is the budget, the biannual budget that will be finished. It has to be signed by the end of June. And then there's a House Bill 103, established the Ohio Social Studies Standards Task Force to develop new social studies academic standards for use beginning with the 2024 to 25 school year. And there was a open committee, and the representative, there's a Kathleen Knight from Talawanda Schools opposed it and gave a disposition opposing, and so would the superintendent. Talk about not liking what they wanted to do. So there's more to come out on that, but a lot of people are against it. The next thing I'd like to bring about is I'm getting word that the counties that are not in the tax, the first round of taxes, are looking at this thing and saying, wait a minute, the 13 or 14 counties that are currently in this thing, when it's settled what they're going to get, if next year we are in this, we have no say. In other words, if Butler County ends up with a 25% tax increase, and there's a similar county next year, the state's going to say, Butler's got it, you got it. And they won't have any say in it. So they are saying to the state, we want to be involved with this tax commissioner in making a decision on what's happening now, so we know what we're going to get. So we'll see what happens. That's going to be quite a battle. That's all I have.
For those of you who don't know, of the 83 counties, I don't know if it's a quarterly or they do a fourth of them at a time, but they don't do all 88 or 83 counties at once. They do a portion of the valuation each year. And so that's what the ones that are, they're looking at the ones that are with these huge possibilities of hikes and valuation.
Yeah.
It's making them nervous, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the more they get involved, right, the
Yep.
more pushback they get,
Yeah.
the more of a foothold they can get to fight to not
That's
gouge the taxpayers with a huge tax increase.
That's what they're hoping for.
I know someone locally is trying to put together with her in the community. It's going to be at the library sometime in June. Maybe we can get that information. It's going to be a community meeting where Nancy will be
Right.
answering any questions for the community on why the tax rate is going to be what it is. So,
Well, can we just do it here in the auditorium? And that might be easier.
Yeah.
yeah.
The timeline for that is different than like the budget bill. So October, isn't that what they told us?
Yeah.
It's in October is when they'll make
For the property
decision.
tax increase?
Yeah.
Tom, is it still true? I thought I heard, is it agricultural county is going to be upwards of 70%?
Agriculture counties are 110.
Yep.
That's the reason I'm pleading down here.
Wow. Okay. Again, I don't understand how anyone in their right mind sat around a table and said this was a good idea. Let's propose it. But it is the state, so nothing surprises me.
To dart at the board. That's all they're doing, throwing darts, and where they land is what it's gonna be.
Yep.
Bureaucrats.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Moving on to Butler Tech, I know Brett is not able to be here this evening. I know his graduation was last week.
Yeah. They had over 400 graduates.
400,
Yeah, over 400 graduates. It was a really nice ceremony.
very good. And that was down at the Cintas Center?
The Cintas Center, yes.
All right, good. 2.3, finance.
We didn't have.
We didn't meet this, yeah.
Okay,
Got a big review coming up this meeting.
all right. And then 2.4, student achievement.
Student achievement. So I'd like to start with Ms. Griffin had sent me a report that said the primary is wrapping up this year with some fun activities. They had their kindergarten music performance last week, which was adorable. I can say I was able to sneak into the last one. There were actually 3, and I was able to make it, pop my head into the last one, and it really was adorable. Those kindergartners are great. And then this past Friday, they had their preschool graduation with 26 graduates. And yes, there were parent tears during the program, which I'm sure there were, because graduating from preschool is a big step. Field day was rescheduled to today, and they had a lot of fun. And it's been a great year, and we want to wish all the students well. Again, the primary had their choir concert last week. That's why I said I was able to pop into that. The 8th grade, Monroe Junior High School students from Miss Decker's and Miss Lamping's language art classes recently were tasked with creating a picture book creation to be read to the 2nd grade students at the Monroe Elementary. They had a great day of teaching and learning. And in the high school, they had the end of the year choir and band concerts, and there was a night of the arts, which was a great success. We'd like to thank Mrs. Gates for the vision for that special event. The senior assembly was this past Friday, and all I have to say is wow. The senior class had some great achievements. I know that throughout the year we recognize, different sports and different students and everything, but when you're sitting there in the senior awards and you're hearing all of it, like this is what the senior class did from beginning to end, and it's just amazing on all the accomplishments that those students had done. So I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Kramer for being the brainchild behind the scenes. And I'd like to recognize Mason Figure. I believe he was the MC for the Senior Awards. So to see a student get up there and do all of that presenting, it's kind of to get out and do public speech like that in front of your classmates and parents. That's a great accomplishment for him to do that. Graduation was this past Friday, so I'd like to recognize all the seniors that graduated. All I can say, it was amazing. It was awesome to see all the friends and the parents supporting each other. And it was fun for me, and I'm sure with all the board members, to watch the students take their moment, getting their diplomas up on stage, taking a moment. That's what I told all of them what I saw them was, take the moment and enjoy it. You only have so many of those. So just congratulations to all the seniors for that. That's really all we have for student achievement. It's really, really good times.
Good. Thank you. Very good. Moving on to 2.5, MEA.
I just want to thank everyone for another great school year. A few more days and woohoo. SURS did just bring something down where a lot of teachers are excited, where they lowered the requirement from 35 to 34 years. So I'm just saying I can retire in 2024.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, and thank you also for the MEA dinner for those that showed up. It was a great time as always, and we appreciate everybody's support with that.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to 3.1, recognition.
All right, we have a couple of recognitions tonight. First off, I'd like to introduce, we have some representatives from the Sons of the American Revolution. They have an award to give out. If you just head up to the microphone, whoever's going to speak.
Good evening. I bring you greetings from the Cincinnati chapter, Sons of American Revolution. And we're here to honor 2 individuals from the school district. Our education outreach program has been very active in Cincinnati. Last fall, we were invited to the elementary school to make some presentations to the elementary kids. And then we were invited back to the Veterans Day concert. And in that, those 2 events, we met a teacher. In part of our outreach program, there's a elementary school teacher eligibility to a national contest, the Tom and Betty Lawrence American History Teacher Contest. American history is not really taught at the elementary school level, but this individual has taken the principles of Americanism and has incorporated it into her educational curriculum here at the school. Ms. Costello enthusiastically agreed to be a participant and represent our chapter in the state contest. And in February, we were notified that the Ohio Society, Sons of American Revolution, which have 24 chapters here in the state of Ohio, had selected her to be the Elementary American History Teacher of the Year here in the state of Ohio. She went on to represent the state of Ohio at the national competition. Our national committee saw the same qualities that I saw in her. And we, in April, we were notified that she had been selected as the Sons of American Revolution National Elementary Teacher of the Year, which is quite an accomplishment for a school district here in Southwest Ohio. So Melissa, come up here. She received her chapter and state awards earlier this year. You have been selected to go to what, Williamsburg?
Colonial Williamsburg.
For an educational seminar on behalf of the Sons of American Revolution. She also received a cash prize upon completion of that seminar. So we are so grateful to, very innovative and very fortunate to have you here. So once again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not only does Melissa value the Sons of American Revolution, I think you've had 230 essays for DAR.
We did this year. 230 essays from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Wow, wow.
And right now, I'd like to introduce Bob Bowers. He's our Education Outreach Chairman for one more award.
Thank you, George. I am Bob Bowers. I'm the chairman of the Youth Education Committee. As George said, we were here a few months ago to make some presentations to the students. And as part of that, we promote a poster contest for elementary school kids. One of our students here participated in that contest. There were over 500 posters submitted to our chapter, and she was selected first. She went on to the state competition where she won first. Her poster right now is being judged at National for presentation of an award possibly this summer. We don't know the outcome of that yet, but we're very proud that she has won first place in this state and chapter. And I have a certificate here from the Ohio Society, to present to Alexa Funky. It's an outstanding accomplishment considering there was 500 posters that we judged, and hers was outstandingly the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want to get a picture with that group now?
We've got
One
two
more?
more, and then when we're done, maybe
We'll separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Melissa.
So totally unrelated to the Sons of the American Revolution and the Daughters of the American Revolution and all those wonderful things. I do want to thank the board and the administration here. I will say that over and over and over, when the Sons of the American Revolution were here visiting our school and visiting with our children, how impressed they were with the school and the support of the teachers for the programs we were doing, so that was great. But this is totally separate. Our gifted department recently worked with a small group of gifted students, the gifted math, gifted language arts myself, and Ms. Carvellano, our tech teacher, to work on a project with a small group of our 6th grade students And the culmination of that product was these students created their own educational video games on their chosen topic, and their chosen topic happened to be climate change. And we were entered into a national contest sponsored by Games for Change, and involving video game industry leaders, promoting video games as a way to get educational content into video games. So the students designed these. And I am very excited to announce that we received word last week that 3 of our students swept the Midwest bracket in their chosen theme, and they are national finalists. So each one of them at this current point has about a 1 in 50 chance of winning the top prize, which is a $10,000 scholarship. So we'll find that out in June, but they are the Midwest, the top 3 Midwest regional champs. So Braden Taylor, come on up, I've got a certificate for you. And Hawk Widener and Carson Thurman are 3 national finalists. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Pictures?
Could we get you with, now we get one more picture up here
Just send it on to
Oh, you want me in this one?
I'll go next to you, no worries. Okay. Yeah, you can shuffle down a little further here, we can kind of bounce out of this. Now you got the wide angle. I think we can make it work. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you. I think it's good here.
Yes.
Okay.
Carson, Brady.
Congratulations, bud. Congratulations. Congratulations. We're excited. Lie on down. Lie on down. Right there in the middle. Come on over. Keep going.
Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Good job, guys. Good job. Good luck.
Congratulations. 3.
All right. Well, that was,
They didn't get,
awesome. That was good.
they didn't get
That's
a
good.
pen?
Good stuff. I like stuff like that. All right. Moving on to 3.2, comments from the public. Seeing none, we will move on to section 3.3, superintendent's update.
First off, I do appreciate all of you coming for recognition. You're more than welcome to sneak out at this time if you don't want to stay. You're always more than welcome to stay and listen, but
There might be extra credit.
we're giving you an out.
I don't know.
So my update this week, or this month, is pretty brief. I just, again, want to talk about graduation this past Friday. Having it at our own stadium, I think, is very special. Having it our own stadium outside when you're depending on weather is very nerve-wracking. If you looked at my phone, I think 90% of the usage last week was checking weather apps. But it actually turned out to be, not just did we avoid the rain, it was a perfect, beautiful night, great ceremony. I'm very proud of all the kids and the staff. It went really well. This is our last week. Finals start at the high school tomorrow, and everybody else is finishing up their last few days, and I know everyone is excited to get this year behind them, but again, I want to thank the staff and the students. It's been a really great school year, and I'm just proud of everyone for everything they've done. I did want to talk a little bit. I know that under the topic of safety, we had that issue at the primary last week, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And I want to thank the Monroe Police Department for their cooperation and work with us. They've been terrific. And we, obviously we haven't had any more issues since, so I do appreciate their cooperation with that. When things happen, it is always a great time to reflect and look at what we are doing to make sure that we're always getting better and doing what we need to. And I know Jesse, even prior to this event, had set up a meeting on June 6th. He's calling it our little safety summit, and it's with all the SROs, all the leadership team, administration, Catherine Clayton from the safety, I don't know what her title is exactly, safety director from Butler County ESC, and we're looking at all aspects of what we do each year for our staff and students, and we'll evaluate, not just the physical structure, looking at entrances and things. Is there anything we need to do there? Staffing, procedures, all that, and that's something that I think is a valuable thing as we move on. So I have had some initial talks with Chief Buchanan about the possibility of an additional SRO for next year, or some sort of, maybe a retired police officer, security guard, something, just as some added for that building, just initial talks right now. Part of it is that they're literally a block and a half from the police department, so they feel like they have it covered pretty well, but at the same time, there is the possibility of additional funding coming in as well in that budget. So we'll see what that looks like, but we're going to continue to look at that as well. So, and then the last thing I want to talk about was facilities. Just another facility update. We had our last facilities meeting of the year last week. So I thank everyone for serving on that committee that took time out. As the year went on and the weather got nicer and nicer, our attendance got a little less and less, but I do understand this time of year how busy it is. But we covered a lot of good topics, and we have a lot of information. So this summer we're gonna have a subcommittee of a few volunteers from that to look at everything we've done, narrow some things down, so when we get to the fall, we can hit the ground running. I've also set up a meeting for this week to work with, or to have a conversation with, it's a capital planning company, and what they do is they help you look at your facilities and help school districts steer you in the right direction, and then they also know all the ins and outs of ELP and OFCC funding and bond issues to help you guide you. For example, I know a neighboring district that went down the OFCC route, and halfway through the project, they were way over budget and running out of money. Then they called this company in, and they're helping them get out of that mess. So I actually spoke to that superintendent. He said my best advice was to talk to them before you get into the project, because they will help you along the way, because they have lots of experience with that. So I'm at least going to talk with them to see what all they offer, and if it's something that can help us navigate all this. As we know, the state funding rules tend to be confusing, and I don't know if the people in the OFCC know all the rules. So I will report back once we have that meeting. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, moving on to Section 4, Treasurer's Business, item 4.1.
I'm asking the board to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on April 17th, 2023.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 4.2.
I'm asking the board to approve the treasurer's financial report for April 30th, 2023.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
So I'd like to report that we still have May and June as projections, but our best guess is that revenue will exceed projections by about $1,583,000. And this is because of additional revenue through interest and through the TIF grid payment, which is property taxes. In the general fund, we have quite a bit of, like $2 million in outstanding purchase orders right now, and we're working with all the departments to get those closed, the ones that we do not need. But what I'm saying is we have 2 months left, so it's still hard to project June 30th. But we'll keep a close eye on it. But at this point, we think we'll be 1.5 million, our revenue exceeding our expenses. Okay, and then I did provide y'all the written report, and if you read it and have questions, please ask me about that. And then also, there's a graph I put on our on my.
Which one do you want?
Well, there's the graph, one statement that says our revenue exceeds $1.5 million. We expect to have 1.4 million exceeding our revenue exceeding our expenses at the end of June 30th. And again, like I said, that could change. And there's another graph on there, if you can go back. I mean, it's an attachment.
Second attachment.
Oh, there. Okay. So I'd like to pass this out. And we were talking about taxes and tax levies, and this is a report from Forecast 508. You get it.
Thank you.
And I pulled all the tax levies for Butler County to compare to Monroe. And Middletown has the highest tax rate, and next to Middletown is Monroe right now, as we sit here today. And part of the reason for that is because we've been capped for so long that we had to pass levies here at the local level to fund our schools. And now that we're becoming uncapped, I look for this to change. But at this time, we have 4 mills to pay off our building, and we have 2 mills that goes into our permanent improvement fund, and the rest of the colors are for operating. And so I just thought it would be nice to see how we compare. And at this point, we're kind of close to Lakota a little bit. I mean, we're still a little bit above them, but Middletown, again, because I think primarily because of their new school, are ahead of us. So I just wanted y'all to see that.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the other districts in Butler County that are capped like us would be Ross. Is that correct?
They were the other way.
What's that?
Lakota actually was capped, like at
Lakota?
30%.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
there you are.
I believe Ross was on the guarantee. and
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
actually
Ross
going
was
the
on the
wrong
guarantee.
direction.
Us and Lakota capped.
Okay.
Okay.
So that makes a difference. And now that we're becoming uncapped, things may evolve into to look something different than what we have here. And the 4 mills will go away 2030.
2030.
2030, okay.
Okay, there's that. Okay, so I'm ready, well, I need to ask you all to approve the treasurer's report
Okay.
for April 30th.
Any questions regarding the treasurer's report? No. Okay. Mrs. Kale, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 4.3.
I'm asking the board to approve the bond fund report for April 30th, 2023.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
And all the money is where it should be.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Any questions regarding the bond fund report? Mrs. Kale, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 4.4.
So I'm asking the board to approve the five-year forecast for submission to ODE for May 31st, 2023.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Okay. Okay. There's a graph. You can go to the graphs for now. Well, the forecast is in front of you.
Yep.
And so you do have that, but I did share a graph there. Okay, so what this shows is that we will not be deficit spending for a while because of the state foundation getting more money from the state. And until 26 and 27, it starts to catch up some. But I do want to say that, let's see. First, let me talk about revenues. So I assume that we had a 30% increase in property values. We don't know what that's going to be, but that will mean some additional revenue for Monroe. We take in $6 million that's related to only to fixed sum levies, so those won't change. But the 20 mills will collect more funds if property values do go up. Wait, let me just see this. We will see an increase in revenue, but not until the spring of 2024 in property. We won't see the full effect until 2024 to 2025 if those property values are increased. So it won't hit right away. And for example, this past spring, our tax revenue came from taxes that were collected in January to June of '22. So we're really pretty far behind. Mm-hmm. Taxes are collected and it's like 15 months later that we receive that. So you won't see anything until next year, but it will start the following year if those go up. And also, we assumed that the state funding would use 2018 salaries, and they may change and use 2022 salaries. And so in that case, we would have to have the forecast approved again because it makes such a dramatic difference. And Cinda, if y'all scroll down a little bit. Okay, keep going. That's another. Okay. So 14 million in 2027. That's with 2018 salaries. That's from the state. Go to the next slide, Cinda. Okay. They'll 19 million in 2027, so that's 5 million more by that time. And each year, there's quite a bit more funding. And they're still talking about it, and no one has any idea which way they plan to go. So if they go with 2022 salaries, our funding from the state will be significant.
So just to clarify, from what I'm seeing,
Yes.
if they do use 2022's salaries,
Yes.
then what we're projecting is a small deficit spending in 2027 that would in essence go away
Right.
if that happens, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I haven't talked about expenses yet.
Okay.
But for revenue,
theory.
I mean,
Revenue speaking, yes.
yes, so that's really interesting to see. And then can you scroll up a little bit? Okay, keep going. Okay, I did want to point out too, in 2020 and in 2021, we were funded on more students than attended here. I just wanted to explain this because it's a big change in state funding, that they're just funding students who are at our school. They're not funding students that go to community schools. Before, they funded like 2,900 students. They sent us enough money for 2,900 students, and then they took out 1.2 million that went to community schools and to just anywhere else they're going.
Trade schools.
There's a lot of places kids go.
Sure.
And we had a big expense, like 1.5 million went out, open enroll, community, anywhere other kids were going. So that kind of changed our forecast a little bit. We didn't have that expense anymore. Instead, they just paid us for who's here and who's attending. And this comes off of EMS reports. That made it a little bit simpler. We don't really know how much we are losing to those other places, but it's a change and it's something. And it changed our forecast because our purchase services went down because we didn't have those expenses.
So they take away the students that are like homeschooled or like go to Butler Tech or go to other schools, just not in Monroe
Right.
in the buildings?
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah. It's like 80% go to Butler Tech,
Okay.
But the others are not seen at all.
And those numbers in 2020 and 21, those were strictly, that drastic change was in essence due to COVID, correct? Because there's a lot of people doing online schooling.
Oh, you mean from 2,700, like 29 to 28?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we did lose students.
Okay.
The online.
We did gain, then our actual in the building went from 27 to 26, and now it's back up to 2697, or it was in 22. So that's 22. But,
Okay.
so anyway, that's something to consider when you look at the past. It's a little bit not apples to apples, that change. It was pretty dramatic. Okay. Okay. Now, let me talk about expenses. Okay, we'll just go back to the forecast. Go back to the graph that shows our spending and our revenue. Sorry. Okay. Oh, there. Okay. So for expenses, I included 12 new positions for next year. They've been hired. And I don't know, there may be more people hired, but I don't know that, and I don't know what they'll be making. So that's not in there, but the 12 positions. Future years, I did not include additional staff because I don't know what it's going to be. And so if we hire more staff, the expenses definitely will change. And and we have not finalized our budget even for next year. So September will be more accurate as far as spending goes. So it's still in flux and things, new information is coming in about what we'll be spending next year. And so that's still on us to get ironed out. So I didn't want to say that, but overall, I think the forecast for now looks good. And again, it's because of our state funding that has, it's been a long time coming. And it's just nice to see. And now we maybe can start providing resources to our students that we could not provide before. And that's going to be a good thing.
Yep, absolutely.
It will be.
So that's my report.
Okay. Any questions? All right, Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 4.5.
Okay. I'm asking the board to approve contracting with Frontline Education for financial planning, comparative analytics, and budget management for 2024 in the amount of $19,108.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Any questions? Mrs. Kayal, please call the roll.
Thank you. Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Mrs. Kayal.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to Section 5, Superintendent's Personnel Business.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. I'm asking the board to approve the following resignations.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Ms. Kayal, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 5.2.
It's recommended to approve the correction just on the resignation date from the previous board meeting.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Any questions? Mrs. Kayal, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Item 5.3.
The moment you've all been waiting for. It's recommended to approve the following new hires for the 23-24 school year.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Fulham. Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Any questions?
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yes.
Almost.
Mrs. Kayal, please call the roll after this.
Call roll.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, officially.
Welcome to Hornet Country.
All right. We got pins and we got a picture.
Pins in a picture. I know.
Well,
Keeping you busy now, Adam.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to hear about your weekend. It was interesting. You see some pictures?
Yeah.
I'm thinking 2 rows this time.
Okay.
Perfect. I said it. All right. I can see just about everybody. I think we are good. Everybody's in. Okay, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3.
Did you get one? Did you get one? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? All right.
Here, come here, I'm clapping friend.
You walked in, he's like,
Yeah, I like this. I like this. I saw him like stand up straight, start kind of strutting.
should I say if you leave, we won't hold it against you?
That's fine.
All right.
I don't know why nobody likes this part of
I
the
know,
meeting.
now we're empty. We always have one person that stays for the entire meeting.
This is when the exciting stuff happens.
This is all exciting. Don't worry, I was gonna say, we won't hold it against you if you leave. We won't reverse it. All right. Moving on, 5.4.
It is recommended the board approve renewing the contracts of the following employees. You have new employees get a one-year contract for the first 2 or 3?
I don't know.
First 3, I think. I think they get a 1 year for the first 3, and then after that, they go 2 years.
Okay.
Unless they apply for,
A one-year contract, oh, for their first, I got you.
yeah, they get 1 year for their first 3, and then they move to 2 years, so.
Okay. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Any questions? All right, Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.5.
It's recommended the board hire Dortaya Moore as the lunch monitor for the junior high, senior high for next year.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Any questions? Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.6.
It's recommended the board approve the following substitutes. Many of these are current substitutes, just renewing for next year.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Whoa.
Ooh, we'll give it to Mr. Leeds. All right.
Wow.
Any questions?
We were planning that.
Guess I left out.
Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye, motion carried. And item 5.7. Did we, yeah, we talked, did we talk about, is this where we wanted to possibly block?
No, this is just a long list.
Just a long
It's
one,
the
okay.
next
Never mind,
section.
it goes all the way until the,
Yep.
went through the winter sports.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
fall and winter.
Yep.
Yep, so. I'm recommending that the board approve the following extracurricular contracts. It has annual, like club advisors, department heads, grade level chairs, and then all fall and winter sports that they know about. There are obviously a few positions here and there that they're still looking for. I did just want to point out the new head coach is Mr. Justin Clemens, the girls' basketball coach. Pretty excited. I think today's his birthday also. Maybe Friday, Saturday was, so. Saturday. So, good week for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right.
Okay.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
Second.
Whoa.
Oh, man, that's cold.
We planned that.
Planned that right.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. First by Mr. Carpenter, seconded by Mr. Fulham.
I'm out.
You can tell it's post-graduation meeting time.
Any questions
You're
regarding the
looking at
extracurriculars? Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye, motion carried.
Real quick comment, thanks to all the volunteers. There's a lot of them on the list that help out our different programs, and we appreciate you guys stepping up as volunteers as well.
Absolutely. Item 5.8.
I'm actually recommending that you block sections 5.8 through 5.17. I can go through those real quickly.
Okay. May I have a motion to block 5.8 to 5.17?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Thank you, Mr. Leeds. All right. So we have to vote on that?
Yep.
And then we will go through it. So Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay.
And I will just go through them all quick, and if you have any questions, stop me or ask me at the end.
Okay.
First one, just moving on, getting their masters. Congratulations to them. We have an advisors, that's separate from the other supplementals because it's grant funded. Additional duty, that is for, we have 2 bus drivers who will be that are doing our inter-office mail. In the past, we've had our maintenance people that are pulled out of the buildings, and they do that. This is a much more efficient way, better use of their time. We have adjusted building substitute rates and all other substitute rates. We are trying to keep competitive. I'm not sure how much higher this can go. They continue to raise, but we don't want to be the lowest, so we are trying to stay near the top for substitutes to keep them in our buildings. So that's what those next two are. Then we have a number of MOUs. The next one is just, we're adding a position that we're actually just bringing in-house. We'd contracted through the Butler County ESC, and now we are hiring that position in-house to make it our employee. It is a slight increase, but without the administrative costs, it's pretty cost neutral. The next one is a job share for our counselors. That is not new. That's just an annual renewal. They've been doing that for a number of years. The next one is just an extension of probationary status for an employee. That's due to some licensure issues. We're making sure that we get all that straightened out. They will be fine for next year, but we just want to make sure that their license gets approved moving forward. The next one is, I had talked about, my goal is to continue to increase the CCP offerings in-house. So if we ask a teacher to teach a CCP course and they need additional courses to take, as long as it's approved through us, we already have the tuition reimbursement. We would like to pay for the complete of that course or two to get them CCP certified, because we think in the long run that would be good. And we have in there, if we do that, that they have to, is that 5 years, Jesse, that's in the MOU? Yeah, 5 years, they're stuck with us, or they have to pay it back, so.
Gotcha.
We don't tell them that before, so we wait till afterwards, and then they find out they're stuck. Just kidding.
Pretty good.
And then the last piece, we've addressed this on individuals for the very difficult positions, and we are just changing the overall, so we don't have to do it every time we need to hire somebody with more than 10 years. For example, I think there was a math teacher that was 12. Secondary math is one of the most difficult positions. Intervention specialist, another really difficult position. And if we need to go a little bit above 10, that way we don't have to come to you each time with an MOU for that position. So, and that's all.
I just have a couple comments, just real quick, in regards to the full-time substitutes. I know you said, does it keep us near the top? 'Cause
Yes.
I know that's our
Yep.
goal.
Absolutely.
And obviously, I think it's known around Butler County. I mean, we're a destination for substitutes. I can tell just by what we previously approved. We really don't have a problem getting substitutes.
We
As we did in
do,
the past.
it's much better than it was the last couple of years, but we still, it's not the way it used to be. And I don't know if that will ever change. But I think that has to also do with the overall teacher shortage. There's
Yeah.
smaller numbers there. When I came out of school, if you didn't get a job, you subbed until you got a permanent teaching position. Now, there's not many that don't get jobs, and if they don't get a job, they tend to go work somewhere else where they can make more money, unfortunately. So substitutes are just harder to come by, and that hasn't, it's gotten better since COVID, but it's still not the best. It's not the way it was, yeah.
And my last comment is I'm glad to, the 10-year of service credit upon hire. I believe that is a great change, only simply because our goal is to get the best teachers that we possibly can into, we were kind of handcuffed previously.
Yep.
So I think this is a great change. So any other questions, comments?
I agree.
Okay. Mrs. Kale, please call the roll.
Wait, did somebody?
Oh, I got to take another motion?
Yeah, we have to have
Yes.
another motion.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn and Mrs. Fulham, Mr. Fulham, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Oh, full.
Man, you just give yours away, yeah.
You blocked me.
Must have been working in the sun today or something. Curious.
And now, Mrs. Kale, you can call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, moving on to section 6, superintendent's other business.
I'm going to ask the board to block 6.1 through 6.18, as the majority of these are just renewal contracts for
Okay.
the ESC.
Okay, may I have a motion to block 6.1 to 6.18?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
All right.
Mrs., we should vote on that?
Yep.
Ms. Kale, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. All right, floor is yours, Mr. Busker.
All right, first up is donations, which we are always very appreciative of. The science textbook that Miss Jody Long presented last month is on there to adopt. We did have a couple early graduates. Usually when it's on this time of year, it's because they needed that diploma to get started at work somewhere, which is the case here. The overnight trip requests are summer camps for a number of athletic teams. The resolution for urgent necessity for the next two, the first one is some masonry work that they are doing some repairs to the windows at the primary building. And again, if it's over a certain amount, you have to go out. This helps speed up the process so we can get this stuff done this summer. So that's 6.5. 6.6 is the pavement for the front paving parking lot and the elementary parking lot. And then the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way through. Actually, all the way through 6.18, I'll say.
Oh, 1-8, I didn't hear that.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
Thank you.
They are all contracts with ESC that are renewals for next year. If there's an increase in services, Holly always does a really good job of showing you how much more it is or what % increase it was, so.
Okay. And that takes us to, all the way to 6, oh wait, we have 6.15 that were not ESC?
Yes, but that's a contract with, it's with Fort Edge for Go Guardian. Is that something for your department, Nancy?
No, it's a monitoring service. Teachers use to be able to look at the.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Okay. Any questions? Well, let's take a motion first. Yep. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Thank you, Mr. Leeds. All right, any questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
On the window deal, masonry work at the primary, help me understand why we have a $20,000 inspection.
The inspection itself is not 20,000. The inspection is a handful of 6,000. They have, depending on what we find, we anticipate, because they've got to crack it open, we've done the visual inspection, the engineer, the architects have looked at it. But once they pull the masonry back, we're just planning for unforeseen conditions. And the way we wrote it was that the 6,000 for the ground floor level inspection, the base bid includes, they'll be going out to the second story back by the mod. It's that south-facing two-story area that they're working on. That will be the upper 2 window lintels and beams that they're inspecting, and then they'll inspect one of the lower ones. And so it's to deal with the inspection, and then if we find something else under it, it sort of says, here's an amount, we'll bring back if there's more than that.
Okay. When I read it, it says $20,000 to inspect, so that's the reason I was over there.
So basically, it's a not to exceed.
Yeah.
And then whatever we don't utilize, we get back.
Yeah, we're not paying that. They'll bill us.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
But you just never know when you open up a building that.
right.
Especially, yeah, those can be nightmares. Okay, any other questions?
I have a comment. I like his 6.2 is the science textbook. I like to recognize the presentation that was given back in April, that we just kind of put this all together, but I appreciate that.
All right, anything else? All right, Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. All right, thank you, Mr. Buskirk.
Thank you.
All right, before we adjourn, we'll have comments from the board. Start with you, Mr. Leeds.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank the staff and everybody involved in the school year. Boy, it's been a fantastic year. It's been a quick year, but it's been fantastic. Graduation couldn't have been better, and I think, let's see, did he say that Ward was in charge of the weather? Did I hear Tom say that? Did a fantastic job. And just a great evening, and the kids, you could just see it in their faces. They were just delighted to be there. And it worked out fine. So, but anyway, for the year, we've had some bumps in the yearly problems, but worked through them, especially at these latest things we've had at the primary. You guys have done a fantastic job of that, and Robert, I know that you've done gotten with Buchanan and everybody and got this under control, and then you have talked about this evening and looking at some things we can do to better secure if we can, so that's great. And I'm disappointed. Tom Paraskis, he got that knee this morning. He should have been here.
That's outpatient.
Yeah. I mean, what, has it been 6 hours? But no, the guy, he did a tremendous job in overseeing all this. It's been just a fantastic year. So congratulations. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Carpenter.
Yeah, same. Congratulations, everybody. Really close to finishing out the year, so let's just finish out our last 3 days strongly. I want to wish the baseball team best of luck tomorrow evening, and I'm really excited because if Monroe wins
They play Moeller.
and Moeller wins,
Oh,
we
no.
have a nice matchup of my two favorite teams, and I just can't wait to go watch that one. It's going to be solid.
Go Hornets.
Yeah, of course, but I'm gonna have my Moeller hat on, so it's fine. And I wanted to recognize a couple of fifth graders. So we don't really recognize like kids playing sports not associated with Monroe. But we actually have 3 fifth graders who qualified for the U.S. Youth Soccer Olympic Development Program state pool. So each one of those kids is one of 50 kids their age that are going to Bowling Green State University in like 3 weeks or so. So if they perform well, they get to go to St. Louis the following week, put on a jersey that says Ohio on it, and play against teams from Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, somewhere else. But yeah, so really cool. So it's Aiden Epley, a 5th grade boy, Addie Schreiber, and my favorite soccer player, Mrs. Greta Carpenter. So, but like, they're really jazzed, they're really excited, so best of luck. I hope they do well, because it'd be really awesome for 3 little Hornets to go represent Ohio and St. Louis and just perform really well. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Very good.
It's all you, buddy.
All right, Mr. Cole.
High fives from around the hive. All right. High five to the varsity baseball team who defeated Centerville 4-3 on Thursday to advance to play Kettering Fairmont in the OHSAA Division I district semifinal tomorrow evening. High five to Mr. Prohaska, our staff and volunteers who assisted in making Friday night's commencement an unforgettable evening for our graduates and their families. Hornet Stadium was full of excitement, and the send-off for our graduates was an absolute success by all accounts. I know how much work goes into an event like this, and the effort put forth does not go unnoticed. High five to the class of 23 salutatorian, Tyra Sims, and valedictorian Maria McGuire. These individual accolades are a direct reflection of your tireless dedication in the classroom throughout your high school career. You should be proud of your individual accomplishments, as we are all proud of you for a job well done. You represent this district and your classmates well, and I'm excited for you to thrive as you enter the next chapter of your educational journey. High five to our class of 23 graduates who have enlisted in the armed forces: Trent Banner, Logan Douglas, Patricia Frommeyer, Elijah Jackson, Elijah Placid, Jonathan Rasnick, Jackson Redding, Madison Richards, Andrew Sharp, Colton Turner, and Franklin Velasquez Ventura. Your bravery to serve and protect our country is remarkable, and the entire Monroe community salutes you. I pray for your safety and well-being as you embark on your heroic journey. I just wanted to point out Trent Banner, who wasn't able to be at commencement, obviously, and I know we talked about that at commencement, but it was really cool to see a flag representing him at the front in the chair that he would have sat in as he's off doing training, and it was really cool to kind of recognize him both during the senior portion of the day, Friday, as well as the commencement. So it was really cool, and you know, thinking of all you guys as you go off and train and protect our country. And finally, a very special high five to the now graduated class of 2023. We saw 40 seniors earning an honors diploma, numerous red cord recipients, a perfect ACT score, tears of joy and memories that will last you a lifetime. Thank you for all that you have given and the legacy that will forever last throughout the halls of MHS. It was a pleasure to get to see each of you celebrated on your day, and know that you will forever have a home at Monroe High School.
Very good.
Very good.
Very good. Mrs. Hagedorn.
I'm going to ditto everything that AJ just said. He worded it very well. Yeah. So there. And I'd also like to recognize Miss Costello for Teacher of the Year. Like, that is amazing, just to get that award. So I really, am impressed with that, and congratulations to her. And to Alexa for her poster, and to the 3 students that got the national finalists for the climate change game that they created. That's pretty cool, honestly. So cool. I'm excited to see where that goes. Like Tim and Tom had said, thank you to administration, teachers, and staff for a great year. There really weren't that many hiccups this year. I was reminded, I don't know if it was senior awards or where it was, about the first day of school and the fire alarm. That just made me giggle. So we started off the year great and ending it pretty good. So just congratulations to everybody.
Okay. I say it every year. Can't believe that it's school's out already, but this year has flown. They seem to be going faster and faster as I get older. So, but honestly, thank you to the administrators, to the staff, to the support staff, our community, Robert, Holly, for another successful year. Without the parents, you guys, the students, we wouldn't have what we have here, and that's a very special place. And in regards to the special place, I was amazed at the graduation when it was announced at the 3.8 GPA or higher, and it looks like 2/3 of the student body stood. We always do well here in Monroe, but this class seemed to step it up even more. So I knew it was going to be a lot, but when everyone stood up, I was taken aback. I was like, wow. So very good job to all the seniors. Just want to give a shout out to the varsity football team. I had a text message from Tom at 10:47 a.m. on Saturday that the entire stadium was cleaned up. So shout out to them. Also to the varsity baseball team, 3rd year that they helped take care of the handicap lot. So I want to give them a shout out, and also good luck to them on Tuesday. And also a thank you to Dawn and Elaine Garver and Jana Proctor for the donation of the fireworks on Friday night. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. So other than that, that is it for me. Yes.
Could we acknowledge Mrs. Hagedorn's great accomplishment by getting all of your children now successfully
All of my
through? So it was a
children.
very special night for you as well and your family. So it was
Welcome to
very,
the club.
Thank
Empty
you.
nest club.
Empty
yeah,
nester.
the empty hornet's nest. So congratulations
It's
to you
not
and
so
Tom
bad of a
and
club.
and the kids.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Next is grandbabies.
Yeah, no, we're not ready for that.
All right. Anything else from anybody? All right. Hold on. I put this away a little too soon. Sorry. last page. All right. I will make a motion, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:09 PM?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. All right. Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
No.
He wants to think.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Tim loses. All right, meeting adjourned.